Next one, the craze for private hands has caught the fancy of the city's residents. So quick thing, you guys need to come back and tell me, does this phrase sound familiar? Have you heard it anytime? Yeah? Anybody? Caught the fancy is basically an idiomatic expression. Anybody knows what it means? Will is again a modal, no? See, if something catches my fancy, which means something interested me, I am drawn to it, right? It can be someone or it can be something. Right? So, caught the fancy is an idiomatic expression which means something appeals to you, right? Something interests you, something catches your attention. Yeah, that's what it means. So, instead of is in the place of. In spite of is given the situation, right? It always brings in a contradictory meaning. In spite of doing this so and so, this person was. So it always brings in a contradictory meaning in the context. That's a pretty much, there's no need for you to be confused between those two words. Instead of means in the place of something. You're replacing something. But in spite of means this is a situation, but it all brings that contradictory meaning. So here the sentence as it is no error. The craze for private hands has caught the fancy of the city's residents. No correction required, if you are understanding that phrase. The trend of wearing boots is something that has most sure come around this season. So the trend of wearing boots is something that has, so some of you say one, okay, what about any other options? So I have most surely, very certainly, very sure, most certainly, and no correction required. Okay. What do you think is the answer? Most of you came back and said it's option 1. Okay. So I was hoping that somebody would come back and ask me why not option 4. Most of you have asked that. Now let's discuss. Right. Now what's the difference between most surely and most certainly? Let's quickly look at it. So when I say something is most certain, I am kind of, agreeing emphatically, very strongly. I'm agreeing emphatically on something. So usually when you hear somebody responding, this term is used to kind of answer questions, right? So, kind of be a part of this group, most certainly, yes you can, right? So usually you will have this phrase used when somebody is kind of responding to some sort of a question, right? And you agree with something very strongly. That's one version of it. Now if you look at it, both these are just the superlative forms of either certainly or surely, right? It's not, mind you, when I say superlative forms, we don't use it to compare, but it's like the absolute superlative, most surely and most certainly. Now, surely as such, we are more familiar with most certainly, right? It's used widely. I wouldn't, even if you type it out, most certainly will come up in a lot of places. However, like I said, why is it most surely then? What's the meaning? If I say most surely, I'm saying without fail or undoubtedly. And in fact, most surely also means certainly, right? So given the context here, right, where I'm saying most certainly is kind of used to respond to questions mostly, right? I would go with most certainly because I am familiar with that. It's more in context, used conversationally. Most surely, on the other hand, means undoubtedly, without fail. So let's go back and look at the context, right? Colloquially, even I would have chosen option 4 because I'm familiar with that. I have heard people use it. It's a much clearer collocation, most certainly. But looking at context, most certainly would be more appropriate when it is in response to a question or when you're agreeing emphatically to something. Here it says the trend of wearing boots is something that has without a doubt or undoubtedly or certainly come around this season. So most surely has more inclination towards the context that is given. That's about it. But if a question like this comes, I would ideally skip it because for me most surely is also more appropriate, as in most effective, yes, but most certainly also is no problem. The trend of wearing boots is something that you can be very sure of this season. That's how I will use very sure. I will change the construction of the sentence completely. I'll say the trend of wearing boots is something that you can be very sure of or very sure about this season. So construction wise, it's not the right fit. So like I said, you can lean towards most surely. Pritesh while away his time in playing games on the computer instead of studying. I have a feeling we've covered this also, but I'm assuming looking at the options, the highlighted phrase is while away his time. Options are whiled away his time, whiled against his time, whiling away his time, while awayed his time. So for those of you who don't know what this means, which is what while away something means. While away means, have you heard this expression? I'm hoping you've heard this. To while away means what? To spend time either relaxing, to spend time in a relaxed manner, doing nothing, just enjoying life. So to spend time either in a relaxed manner or idly or doing something that you like, right? So we whiled away the summer. We whiled away time by just singing songs, whatever, okay? So obviously the answer is option A. Okay, let's look at it. It's a phrase substitution question, right? The highlighted word is were directed to. Let's read. All their efforts were directed to promote harmony among various groups of people. 4 options given. Option 1, were directing to. Option 2, were directed at. Option 3, have directed for. And option 4, were directed to. Obviously, most of you are coming back with the answer. Now, if you look at the options in terms of sentence construction, right, you can quickly eliminate option 1, were directing to. But were directed at, yes, we do have that, right? Someone was, or these people were directed at, but the verb following will always be in the ing form. Directed at doing something. If I had to use option 2, right? But if I use option 2, promote has to take up the ing form, right? That's why I wrote it specifically. Were directed at, I need an ing form, so I can't use option 2. Have directed for again is not the right construction. So option 4, were directed to, is the right construction, right? Usually, that's the pretty much the collocation as well, right? Let's just randomly look at some example phrases. He directed them to go away, right? He directed who to go away, okay? I directed him to leave the room. So usually followed by the infinitive form, if you notice, right? To go, to leave, yeah? Verbs ending in ed, right? Usually take up the to verb. So either ways, our answer for this one is all their efforts were directed to promote harmony among various groups of people. They have been directed to give special attention to poverty. If you're looking at just the helping verb were followed by the ing form, that's a different context altogether. Here we have directed as a verb in between the context. So-and-so was directed to do something. Directed means basically you're giving commands or you're kind of ordering them, right? You have the authority to do that. So if I'm directing someone, which means I'm asking them to do something or I'm ordering them to do something, I'm commanding them to do something. So all their efforts were directed here in this context, which means what? Was channelized in that particular, to take that particular course of action. That's what it means. Okay, this is Roy's question. Replace with suitable phrase. Okay, let's quickly look at it. A lot of time we hear from actors that they regret the kind of rules they have been doing all this while, but this actor says dash any regrets. He has never any regrets. Options are never has have, has never had, has no, has had, no correction required. A lot of time we hear from actors that they regret the kind of rules they have been doing all this while. So which means regret being your clue word, right? All this while they have been doing something which they are regretting. But this guy, this actor, so but is your clue word, hint word, right? It's saying, hey, those guys are saying that they have been regretting, but this actor says, again, regret being your clue word. So they are saying they regret. But, so which means he is not regretting. And so far, he doesn't have any regrets. So what's the right option? But this actor says, so far, from the time. The context is giving us a perfect tense. The general tense in the context is perfect tense. Why? We are saying, when you say regret, you're talking about, right, whatever experiences that you've gone through, which means the action has started sometime in the past and you're making reference to it now. Right? Till now, this actor has never had any regrets, right? You need again a present perfect tense. So option B is the right one. Those who said A, someone said A, it can never be A. This actor says never has have, he is missing, the subject is missing. Remember, the bold part is starting from he, right? So it can't be A because the subject is missing. But this actor says, again, subject is missing, he, see out, right? Not only that, even if you take off he, maybe it's a error where maybe only this part is in bold. Even then, the right option would be B, he has never, not he has had. It definitely cannot be D, right? This actor is confessing, saying he has never had any regrets so far, based on whatever experiences that he has gone through, right? Perfect tense, present perfect tense. Clear? Pay attention to, words. Let's say, for example, only has never was in bold. Pay attention to the words after that, no? It cannot be he has no any, no? Right? So look at construction wise also, right? So he has no any, illogical. So you can close your eyes and eliminate option C. Yeah? Let's move on.